You're listening to Black Parents Aging, where we help you navigate caring for aging loved ones. Every Wednesday, we'll discuss how to help your parents successfully navigate this new season of life. We are going to talk about legal, health, technology, and finances. Here's your host attorneys, Olivia Smith and Nicola Robinson.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Black Parents Aging Podcast. It is your host, Nicola Robinson. I am always so delighted that you are here and getting all the information that you can to share with your loved ones. So today we're going to talk about another topic, an issue that you may come in contact with your aging parent. So today we're talking about caregiver agreements. And I know a lot of people may not even really know what a caregiver agreement is or why you need one. But we all know what a caregiver is, okay? A caregiver is so critical when it comes to our aging parents. As they are getting older, there might be just a bunch of things that they're not able to do anymore, tasks that they're just not able to perform around the house, like preparing their own meals or maybe even getting dressed or needing help to get in and out of the bed or somebody to, drive them around to their appointments and to their activities. So those are a whole host of things that we know caregivers can come in and assist with. And a caregiver can really be anyone. It can be a family member. It can be, you, the child of aging adult, or maybe you have to hire a professional caregiver to come in and help with your parent. And so a lot of times when people bring in professionals, of course, they enter into some type of contract to clearly kind of outline what the expectations are, what the pay will be, and what is the scope of service that will be provided. So that's really what it is, a caregiver contract. Also, sometimes you hear people call it a personal care agreement. And really all it is just a legal document that gets everyone on the same page about elder care services and responsibilities that will be provided to a family member. And I can tell you guys, we do a lot of these documents in my law practice, and they come in super handy, especially if your loved one's health starts to decline and you're going to have to look at probably applying for some type of government assistance, such as Medicaid, or even if you need to get like VA benefits. There are a lot of different situations where you might have to apply for benefits. And so you want to make sure that you have some type of contractual agreement in place. The American Bar Association recommends that a contract is updated every year. And I can tell you that is spot on. Things change so quickly. People's health change so quickly, who the caregiver may be, or the level of care and responsibility can change from year to year, especially as, again, people's health is starting to go down. So that's something you always want to look at and make sure that the caregiver agreement is consistent with what is the current situation in terms of what's going on with the family. And like I said, sometimes caregivers can be individuals that are hired through an agency, or it might be just a family member. And when it is a family member, I see this all the time. People think, oh, I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart, or it's because I love my mom. And so they may not think to draft up any type of legal document, and it turns into a nightmare later on. Because especially when there's multiple siblings, I can give you so many examples of why a caregiver contract may be necessary. But I'll give you one that may not seem so obvious. When there are multiple siblings and one child has moved in to take care of mom or take care of dad, and that child, maybe they had to give up a job or they had to reduce their hours. And so now that they've moved in, they're using their funds to kind of pay for everything, such as the groceries or, getting the lawn cut, which kind of makes sense. But if your siblings are not really clear about that, they can view it as you just trying to freeload off of mom and dad. And so it gets really unclear about the services that you are providing for your family member in exchange for maybe some payments from mom and dad, as opposed to it being seen as maybe you're abusing their money. So you see how quickly they can get very messy because you think that you're helping out and you think that you should be compensated or at least be able to benefit from making the sacrifice of being home with mom and dad, whereas your siblings may see it totally different. And so that's why having something really in writing that expresses like what your responsibilities are and how you would be compensated for actually stepping in and being a caregiver is vital. It really, really will cut down on just disappointments, conflicts, and even legal disagreements. I have seen families end up in court because there was no real caregiver agreement. There was no outline as to who was doing what and how much they should be compensated. So, when you're thinking about putting together a caregiver agreement, there are really three basic requirements of this type of contract. The agreement must be in writing. Listen, just if you're going to do it right. Memorialize it. Make sure it is in writing. Let's not say, well, we talked about it and that's going to be enough because I promise you it's not going to be enough. People's memories are short. We are busy. We live in a very distracted time. I mean, with social media and with snippets of everything, 2 minutes is really all our attention spans are. So if we talk about we had a conversation about it, we're probably going to forget if it was a conversation more than 2 minutes these days. You also want to make sure that there is clear definition as to the payments that the care provider will receive, not some very vague, whatever is reasonable or anything like that. You want to make sure that it is really specified as to the actual amount. And you want to make sure that that compensation is consistent with what it would cost to go out and maybe hire somebody to do the same type of work. So, think about if your granddaughter moves in or your daughter moves in with your parents and she's helping them make dinner. She comes over on occasion or makes dinner for them nightly or whatever the case may be. She can't charge them $100 an hour just to make dinner, especially when an agency could come over and do it nightly for maybe $20 an hour. And so you want to make sure that whatever that compensation that is outlined in the caregiver agreement is also very reasonable. And I guess I cannot stress enough for you guys why this is so important. What we have seen is just so many pitfalls when people don't have an agreement. And I'll give you another example. You have decided to help mom and dad, or you've had mom move into your house because she is declining in health. And so let's say, mom sells her house and you're like, okay, well, now that I'm taking care of her full time, I'm going to pay myself through some of the money that was received from that sale of the house. Okay, but suppose her health declines even more and it becomes apparent that you are no longer going to be in a position to actually take care of her. Suppose she has dementia and needs memory care and needs to go into a facility. Well, if there was no forethought as to how that facility would be paid for, and you do need to apply for Medicaid, you're going to run into a huge problem with Medicaid because they're going to look at that lump sum that you paid yourself on the front end, and they're going to have a really hard time justifying that or seeing that as compensation for taking care of mom up until the point she needed to go into a facility. Lump sums are usually a huge red flag. They're going to see that as a gift, and you're going to either need to cure that gift. And a lot of times, curing is not always possible because you've probably already spent that money, if we're just being really honest. And so that's why it's so important to have these agreements, talk to an attorney, make sure you understand what you are doing before you end up really stepping into some minefields when it comes to caregivers. Another huge place that you may run into some issues, taxes. If you are doing the work, you have a contract, you're getting paid. Who should pay taxes? Do you pay the taxes on the funds that you earn? Are your parents going to be responsible for paying taxes on the funds that they are compensating you for the services that you're paying? So those are just things that you're going to want to think about. And I really, really want you to take the time and contact an attorney. I know that there are some caregiver agreements out there on the internet. Thanks to the world of Google, there are all kinds of stuff that you can find out there. But I just want you to really understand you get what you pay for. And so when you find something on the internet, you want to make sure that it fits your family situation, that it is drafted properly, and that it is actually going to do what it is that you want. If it doesn't fit your family's needs, it really is a complete waste of time. Like, again, there's a lot out there, and there is a lot of minefields that you could be setting yourself up and your family up for because you decided to take the cheaper route and use something that you found on the internet. So I really, really just want to caution you against just picking something off the internet and using that. So what else did I want to tell you? Sometimes, when we think about caregivers, we got to think about all the different ways that we maybe need a caregiver. Because sometimes we don't need, like, necessarily a full time caregiver. Sometimes we need somebody to just come in and do what's called respite care and kind of just sit with your parents maybe for a few hours or give you a break while you kind of run some errands or do something else. Or maybe you need somebody to come in to remain in the home with their parents so that they don't have to go to an actual facility, and those people can do grocery shopping, walk pets, they can change bed sheets, they can do everything. They will be full time in the home. They can make sure that your parents are remembering to take their medication, and they can really sometimes help keep your parents in their home for a little bit longer, especially as things are starting to decline. So you want to make sure, especially here in Georgia, if your parents are Medicaid eligible and participate under the Community Care Service Program, family members can actually even be reimbursed for caregiving. But again, that's the situation where you have to make sure that you have the proper contract in place that outlines for Medicaid what the terms are, what is reasonable in terms of compensation. So that is one other place where you might want to look at, okay, we can get some payment from Medicaid since your parents are Medicaid eligible, and that will give you kind of a stipend. Because I know a lot of times when people are caregivers, again, they're having to reduce work hours or they may have to stop working entirely in order to be a caregiver. So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you. I want you to really take the time, pay for that consult, talk to a lawyer. Do not just draft your own caregiver agreement. You have been warned. This is what we do as elder law attorneys. We think of all the pros and cons and things that you may not have thought of at all when it comes to drafting these. We look at the big picture. There's so many things that you should be thinking about, both short-term and long-term goals, funding sources. Maybe right now you're thinking you can keep mom and dad at home and you can take care of them. But suppose that changes, suppose their health changes. What would be the funds that are available to pay for a facility if you needed to? And then we kind of really help you just sort through all your options and see what it is that makes the most sense for your family and your resources. We can help with asset protection, and we just really make sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And we discuss the tax implications and maybe some of the considerations. Well, that's really all I have for today. So think about it before you enter into a contract, or if you decide you need a caregiver contract, please just reach out, review this episode, share this episode with any caregivers that you may know. I think it is so unfortunate that so many caregivers, they rush in to be that caregiver for their family because they want to help out, they want to make sure their family loved ones are safe, but they don't really think about this piece of it. Again, so many things can just come out of it as a result, so much conflict and so much turmoil when this piece is not thought about. Well, that's all I have for today. So thank you again, guys, for joining us. I hope this was helpful and really something to think about, especially because I know that this is probably not a topic that comes up very often. We know about caregivers. We talk about caregiving and making sure caregivers take care of themselves. We have support groups for caregivers, but I don't know that people are really talking about the legal implications of being a caregiver and not having something in place in terms of a caregiver agreement. And I am telling you from firsthand experience, this can go very south. It can go very messy if there is nothing written and in place. So if you know someone that is a caregiver for a loved one right now, please, please, please share this episode with them just to give them some more information and for something for them to think about. They have not already taken the steps to get a caregiver agreement drafted. And as always, we love to hear from you. We love your feedback, your comments, and your questions. Guys, the outpouring of love we have received since we started this podcast has been nothing short of amazing. I am still just in awe of everything that you guys share with us, or you write in to tell us how the episodes have been a blessing to you and your family and what you guys have going on. So we are so grateful that you are allowing us into your lives and we're using this information. It just really motivates us, to keep going with the show and to know that people are finding benefit and value. So I will keep on recording. We will be here for next week's episode. If you have an experience about a caregiver contract or a story that you'd like to share, you can always reach out to us on Facebook or through our website or any really social media platform. As always, this is a judgment-free zone. We are here to listen. We are here to have these tough conversations. We are here to get all the information and all the tea. All right, guys, until next time, this is our episode. Talk to you soon.
You're listening to Black Parents Aging, where we help you navigate caring for aging loved ones. Every Wednesday, we'll discuss how to help your parents successfully navigate this new season of life. We are going to talk about legal, health, technology, and finances. Here's your host attorneys, Olivia Smith and Nicola Robinson.